When it rains, water hits the ground, and we know it hits the ground. We see it hit the ground. When it hits the ground and it hits dirt, it goes back to the water table through a process we call infiltration. But if it doesn't hit the ground, if it hits what we call an impervious surface, roof or pavement, it goes downhill. And when it goes downhill, it goes until it hits something that it can seep into. And if that's grass, it tends to overwhelm it because it's only ready for enough rain that's going to come from the sky above it. And when it comes off the pavement and roofs, it picks up pollution, it picks up trash, it picks up the things that we leave in the streets. And it doesn't just pick up the things we leave in the streets. Sometimes water lands in the grass, or it lands on farmland, and it picks up pesticides, it picks up fertilizer, it picks up the things we put in the ground to make things grow better. And those aren't good. Those aren't good for the water. And the water carries all these things to the Chesapeake Bay. Chesapeake Bay is the lifeblood of Maryland. It carries this state, and it has for almost 400 years now. And we think of the bay. When we think of the bay, we think of the big pristine waters standing out there. We think of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. We think about shipping traffic coming into the Baltimore Harbor. And we think about these wonderful things like these beautiful lighthouses that are out there. But the Chesapeake Bay is a lot more than the water we see at the edge. The Chesapeake Bay covers a huge area at the end of the day. It covers most of Maryland, most of Virginia, a huge swath of Pennsylvania and New York. This is the water that drains into the bay. Anywhere you drop water on the ground here, it's going to go to the bay eventually. And whatever it carries with it, it's going to take with it. That leads to beach erosion when we kill the grasses along the edges. Grass can't hold the dirt back, it erodes, things start disappearing. That also includes other damage that happens to the bay. The pesticides and the fertilizers kill the organisms in the bay. It kills the grass, it kills the smaller fish that lead into feeding the bigger fish. It kills crabs, it kills oysters. And it also deposits dirt that it brings along with it. When we deposit that dirt, that silt builds up in the bay and leads to challenges for shipping, the lifeblood of the economy in the state. It requires us to dredge more frequently to build those channels. So the United States EPA comes in and says, do something. The state of Maryland looks down the counties and says, do something. A law was passed in 2012 requiring counties in Maryland to apply some sort of fee to property owners that will help pay for stormwater management. Some counties looked at this in the sense of, well, we should apply a flat fee to every property. Others applied a fee based on how much pervious surface there is. Some counties looked at other solutions, but were stopped. We'll get to that in a second. This became such an issue, it became the rain tax, that the law was changed in 2015 to require, instead of a fee that has to be directly applied, counties had a little bit more flexibility. Some counties looked at using general funds, which turns into an even bigger problem. Think about a commercial landowner, somebody who has a huge parking lot. They're going to pay far less than a homeowner would per square foot of impervious surface. And that turns into a severe economic problem. What we really need, and this all pays for remediation, this is after the fact treatment. What we really need is a strategy of mitigation. Solve the problem when the water hits the ground. This would involve things like rain barrels, this would involve rain gardens, bioswales, pervious pavers. This is a kind of concrete that water can seep right into. These sorts of solutions, though, were not encouraged. We need an economic solution. We need a fee that applies based on how much impervious surface you have. But you get a rebate for whatever treatment mechanisms you've put in place. And you could probably get all the way to 100% with a proper treatment plan. This would lead, in the long term, to things like, this is a rain barrel here in Annapolis that captures the rain right off the roof of this building, treats it on site, slowly deposits it back into the ground over the long term in a way that the ground can take. This is a green roof that would allow the water to be treated on the roof of the building as it hits. If we develop these proper incentives and create the right incentives to mitigation, we will be able to create a Chesapeake Bay that is safe and healthy and prosperous for generations to come. Thank you, everyone.